You didn't click this by accident. Something in your spirit felt the weight of this moment before your eyes ever saw the title. There is a spiritual alert moving faster than logic, faster than comfort, faster than excuses. Many chosen ones have been feeling restless lately, sleep interrupted, thoughts racing, emotions intensifying without a clear reason. That's not anxiety. That's activation. When heaven moves, the soul feels it first. There are moments in life when time compresses, when delays become dangerous, and when silence becomes disobedience. This is one of those moments. What was hidden is accelerating toward exposure. What was delayed is rushing toward manifestation. And what was meant to break you has already lost its grip. The urgency you feel is not fear, it's alignment catching up with you. Think about the last few weeks. The sudden distance from people you once trusted, the strange calm after emotional storms, the inner voice telling you to slow down but also to prepare. These are not random shifts. This is the final repositioning. Just like before a storm, the air changes, heavier, charged, electric. Spiritually, the atmosphere around you has shifted. Many chosen ones ignore this phase because it feels uncomfortable. Growth often feels like loss before it looks like gain. God often removes before he reveals. And when he removes quickly, it's because what's coming soon requires a lighter, cleaner, stronger version of you. This is not punishment. This is protection in disguise. If this message is hitting your chest instead of just your ears, that's your confirmation. Don't scroll past urgency when it knocks. Don't downplay what your spirit already knows. Pause, breathe, receive. And if this resonates, type "I'm ready" in your heart and in the comments, because agreement activates acceleration. There is a quiet distance forming between you and people who once had full access to your heart. Conversations feel forced. Laughter doesn't land the same. Even familiar spaces feel emotionally colder. This is not bitterness growing in you, this is clarity. When elevation is near, separation comes first. God always pulls his chosen ones out of familiar noise before releasing uncommon favor. You may feel guilty for changing, but growth always feels like betrayal to those who benefit from your stagnation. Some people only knew the version of you that tolerated disrespect, overgave without boundaries, and stayed silent to keep peace. The moment you began honoring your worth, their comfort was disrupted. That shift is not your fault, and it's not your burden to fix. Look closely. Some connections faded without conflict, without arguments, without big drama. They just fell away. That's divine filtration. God sometimes removes people quietly so you don't feel tempted to chase what he already dismissed. If he had allowed chaos, you might still look back. Silence is his cleanest exit strategy. This season may feel lonely at times, but loneliness and isolation are not the same. Isolation is punishment. Solitude is preparation. In this quiet, your discernment sharpens. Your hearing becomes clearer. Your strength multiplies without interference. You are not alone, you are being recalibrated. There may be things in your life right now that don't fully make sense. Plans that stalled without warning. Prayers that seem unanswered. Doors that closed without explanation. But here is the truth most people miss. Confusion often shows up right before divine redirection. When God is about to change your path, he temporarily disrupts your clarity. If everything made sense, you would stay where you are. But because elevation requires movement, God allows discomfort to push you forward. That confusion you feel isn't chaos, it's the tension between who you were and who you're becoming. Old instructions no longer work in a new season. Think back to moments when your life changed dramatically for the better. Most of those turning points did not begin with confidence, they began with uncertainty. You didn't know how it would work out. You only knew you couldn't stay where you were. That same force is at work again right now. The enemy thrives in loud panic. God moves in quiet disruption. One creates fear. The other creates transformation. If fear were in charge, you'd feel hopeless. But you don't. You feel uneasy, alert, watchful. That's not fear. That's awareness awakening. This is not the season to explain yourself to everyone. This is not the time to announce every move. And this is absolutely not the moment to argue your destiny with people who can't see it. Your silence right now is not weakness. It is strategic protection. The Bible is filled with examples of breakthroughs that required silence before manifestation. Joseph was silent before the throne. David was silent before the crown. Even Jesus was silent before his greatest revelation. Silence is often the womb where miracles grow. Not everyone deserves access to what God whispered to you. Some people don't want to understand, they want to delay. They plant subtle doubt through questions masked as concern. Are you sure? Isn't it risky? Why now? These aren't innocent questions. These are distractions dressed as wisdom. Every time you speak too early, you expose a seed to weather it wasn't meant to face. Not all storms are external. Some storms arrive through human mouths. The less you say, the faster some promises grow. If you felt led to speak less, share less, and retreat inward lately, that's not depression. It's discipline being formed in silence. Guard your tongue, protect your vision, and if you accept this instruction, affirm it gently. I will move in silence. Something about you has already changed, and you don't even know how to put it into words. Your reactions are different. Your standards are higher. Your patience is thinner for nonsense. Your tolerance for emotional games is gone. You're not cold, you're conscious now. You may notice that situations that once triggered panic now barely shake you, and things that once excited you now feel empty. This shift is not emotional numbness. It's emotional maturity. You're no longer feeding on chaos, you're starving it. People close to you may start saying things like, "You're different," without being able to explain why. That's because your spirit frequency has changed. When your inner alignment shifts, your outer world responds, even before you understand it. This shift often feels lonely because you're outgrowing the language of your past while learning the language of your future. You no longer fully belong where you were, but you haven't fully arrived where you're going. That in-between space is sacred and uncomfortable. If you've been feeling this quiet transformation happening within you, do not resist it. It's not taking anything from you, it's removing what can't follow you. And if you feel this truth, place your hand on your heart and affirm, I honor my transformation. Right now, things may seem oddly calm on the surface. No major chaos. No loud breakthroughs either. Just a strange stillness that feels heavier than noise. This is not stagnation. This is the pause before impact. In the natural and the spiritual, the greatest movements often begin in stillness. God is aligning variables you cannot see. Many chosen ones mistake this phase for delay and grow impatient. But patience here is not passive, it is powerful restraint. Think of an arrow pulled back on a bow. The tension is uncomfortable, but without that tension, the arrow never flies forward. What you feel now is not lack of movement, it is stored momentum. This is why your spirit feels restless even though your life looks quiet. Your soul knows something is loading. You may feel unmotivated by routines that once drove you. That's because you're no longer built for maintenance. You're being prepared for motion. Be careful not to self-sabotage during this calm by forcing doors, rushing decisions, or entertaining distractions. Many people ruin their own breakthrough because they couldn't sit with silence long enough. Silence is not emptiness. It's God working without noise. You may be confused about why issues you thought you healed from are suddenly reappearing. Old fears, old habits, old emotional wounds, even old temptations. But resurgence does not always mean regression. Sometimes a thing comes back not because it still controls you, but because it's coming up for its final release. Before elevation, exposure happens. God brings buried things to the surface not to shame you, but to cleanse you completely. Partial healing cannot sustain full assignment. What you once survived, you must now overcome on a deeper level. The enemy also tries to recycle outdated battles when he senses you outgrowing them. He replays old scripts hoping to see if he still gets the same reaction. But here, the difference now, you're not reacting the same way. What once controlled your mood now only tests your discipline. Do not interpret resurfacing as failure. If anything, it's proof of progress. You cannot outgrow what you haven't outlived. The fact that you now see clearly what once confused you is evidence of growth no one can take from you. So don't panic when old chapters knock on your door. You're not obligated to reopen what God already closed. Stand firm. And if this speaks to you, declare it with strength. What tried to return no longer has power. There's a heavy emotional load you've been quietly managing that almost no one knows about. You still show up. You still function. You still smile when required. But inside, you've been carrying silent pressure that words can't fully explain. This is the burden of assignment. Chosen ones don't just struggle like everyone else. They struggle with responsibility on their spirit. You feel things deeply. You sense shifts before they happen. You absorb emotional currents in rooms without anyone saying a word. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's spiritual awareness. But awareness without release becomes weight, and weight without rest becomes exhaustion. This is why you've been feeling drained even without obvious stress. You've been spiritually working without clocking out. Even in your sleep, your spirit has been processing battles and transitions. God sees this weight. You are not unsupported, even if you feel unseen. There is a divine exchange coming where the burden shifts from your shoulders back to his hands. But you must be willing to let go of control to receive relief. If you've been strong for too long without being held, this message is for you. You don't have to keep proving your strength. Just whisper it honestly. I release what I was never meant to carry alone. Not everyone who began the journey with you will be allowed to finish it with you. This truth is painful, especially when the people involved once felt like destiny connections. But God does not break bonds to be cruel. He breaks them to be precise. Some people are assigned to your past, not your future. They were perfect for who you were, not for who you're becoming. If they followed you forward, they would only slow you down, compete with you, or eventually resent the version of you that grew beyond their comfort. This is why sudden misunderstandings appear, why unnecessary conflicts arise, why trust erodes without clear explanation. These are not always attacks. Sometimes they are spiritual end-of-contract notices. The connection did what it was supposed to do. Now it must release you. Trying to drag people with you who are not aligned with your next level will only fracture you emotionally. Elevation demands lightness, and some relationships, though familiar, have become too heavy to carry into what's next. If you're grieving connections that no longer fit, don't shame yourself for feeling it. Endings can hurt even when they are right. Let yourself feel and let yourself move on. And if this truth hits home, affirm it with courage. I bless what cannot follow me. There's a battle happening inside you that no one on the outside can see. You go about your day handling responsibilities, answering messages, showing up when required. But beneath all that, there's a quiet war between your old self and your emerging self. One part of you wants to retreat to what's comfortable. The other part refuses to be small again. This inner tension is not weakness. It's evidence that transformation is underway. Caterpillars don't become butterflies without first dissolving into something unrecognizable. Right now, you're in that in-between place, no longer who you were, not yet who you're becoming. That space feels unstable, but it's sacred. Some nights you feel powerful and clear. Other nights you feel tired, doubtful, even tempted to quit. That doesn't make you faithless. It makes you human in transition. Breakthroughs are rarely born from constant strength. They are usually birthed through perseverance in the middle of uncertainty. What makes this battle heavier is that you fight it mostly alone. You don't want to burden others. You don't want to be misunderstood. So you carry questions in silence and process emotions behind closed doors. But heaven hears what you don't say out loud. You once thought certain delays were punishments. You wondered why others moved ahead while you seemed stuck. You questioned what you did wrong. But now you're beginning to see a different truth. Some delays were divine shields. If you had received everything you asked for earlier, it would have crushed the version of you that existed back then. The weight of the blessing would have broken the foundation. God doesn't just answer prayers, He prepares people to survive the answers. Some connections didn't work out because you weren't ready for the warfare that comes with that level of favor. Some opportunities passed because you needed more wisdom before managing that responsibility. Some dreams were deferred because your character needed strengthening before your platform expanded. What felt like rejection was often redirection without explanation. What felt like God saying no was often Him saying, "Not yet, you're still becoming dangerous to the wrong environments." Lately, life has been sending you small but persistent invitations to rise. Nothing dramatic, no thunder from the sky, just quiet nudges. Change this habit, walk away from that pattern, stop dimming here, speak up there. These are not random thoughts. These are upgrade prompts. Leveling up doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with discomfort in places you used to feel comfortable. You begin to feel out of place in conversations you once enjoyed. You outgrow jokes you used to laugh at. You feel bored with cycles that once held your attention. This is how elevation whispers before it roars. God rarely transforms everything at once. He changes your tolerance first. What you accept determines where you stay, and what you refuse determines how high you're allowed to go. You may feel pressure to stay the same so people don't feel threatened, uncomfortable, or left behind. But shrinking to protect others from your growth is a betrayal of your calling. You were not created to fit in, you were created to rise. There was a time when you trusted too easily and doubted too often. You gave the benefit of the doubt even when your spirit felt uneasy. But now, something has shifted. You see through words faster. You feel energy before actions. You recognize patterns without needing proof. This is not paranoia. This is discernment being sharpened by experience and prayer. You've been betrayed enough times to recognize subtle warning signs. You've been disappointed enough times to stop romanticizing red flags. You've been broken enough times to now protect your heart with wisdom instead of walls. Your discernment has become dangerous to manipulation. People can no longer play the same games with you. They sense it too, that you're harder to deceive, harder to confuse, harder to control. And some will distance themselves simply because the old tricks no longer work. This level of awareness comes with responsibility. You can't unsee what you now see. You can't unknow what your spirit now understands. Ignoring discernment after receiving it leads to unnecessary cycles of pain. If you've noticed that you now feel truth before evidence, that's not coincidence, it's growth. Trust it, protect it. And if this resonates, declare it clearly. My discernment is sharp and I trust it. Not everyone is watching you with pure intentions. Some people observe your movement with curiosity, others with admiration, and a few with quiet envy. They don't even fully understand themselves. When God marks you for impact, your life becomes noticeable, even when you're trying to stay hidden. You may have sensed eyes on you lately. Not always physically, but energetically. People asking questions that feel invasive. Sudden interest from unexpected places. Subtle competition where there was once peace. This is what happens when the anointing on your life becomes visible in the spirit before it manifests in the natural. Envy doesn't always show up as aggression. Sometimes it hides behind compliments, concern, or forced support. That's why you must stay alert without becoming bitter. Awareness protects you. Resentment poisons you. There's a difference. This is not the season to shrink to avoid attention. It's the season to strengthen your boundaries. You don't need to hide your light, but you do need to guard access to it. Everyone doesn't deserve front-row seating in your becoming. If you felt both celebrated and silently targeted at the same time, you're not imagining it. That's what happens when you're rising. So stand steady in humility and confidence and affirm it now. What's on my life is protected. Lately, you've probably felt the urge to pull back from social circles, platforms, even from constant communication. You don't feel the need to explain yourself anymore. You just want space, quiet, clarity. This is not avoidance, it's reconstruction. There are seasons when God builds publicly and seasons when he rebuilds privately. Public growth attracts applause. Private growth creates power. Right now, you're in a workshop season, not a showcase season. In silence, identity resets. In isolation, motives get purified. In stillness, you learn the sound of your own spirit again. That's why you no longer crave noise the way you used to. You're becoming selective with energy because you finally understand its value. Some may interpret your withdrawal as arrogance or disinterest. Let them. They don't need to understand the blueprint God is working on in secret. What he builds in the dark will speak loudly in the light. If you felt that sacred pull to disappear and strengthen from within, honor it without guilt. You're not falling back, you're reloading. And if you receive this, affirm it. This quiet is building my power. Things that once gave you comfort no longer nourish you. Old routines feel dry. Old achievements feel small. Old praise doesn't hit the way it used to. You're not ungrateful, you're growing out of lower ceilings. Discomfort is often the language of upgrade. When God prepares you for more, he makes less feel unbearable. Not because less is bad, but because it's no longer enough for who you're becoming. You might feel frustrated and not even know why. On paper, things look fine. But inside, there's this deep knowing. There has to be more than this. That whisper is destiny refusing to let you settle. The danger is not in feeling dissatisfied. The danger is numbing that feeling with distraction. When dissatisfaction is ignored, purpose gets delayed. But when it's honored, destiny accelerates. So don't shame yourself for wanting more depth, more impact, more meaning. That hunger is holy. And if this is stirring something inside you right now, declare it honestly. I refuse to settle for what no longer fits me. Right before major release, pressure usually increases. Emotions feel heavier. Obstacles seem louder. Temptations get sneakier. This is not because you're losing, it's because the finish line is closer than you think. The enemy doesn't waste energy on battles that are already lost. Escalation happens when breakthrough is near. This is why it feels like one more thing keeps showing up. It's meant to exhaust you into quitting right before relief arrives. But hear this clearly. The fact that you're still standing means the test is not greater than the strength already inside you. You were built with this moment in mind. Heaven calculated your capacity before allowing the pressure. Do not misinterpret intensity as failure. Birth is intense. Expansion is intense. Transformation is intense. None of these mean destruction, they mean transition. Suddenly, people and situations are reflecting your own growth back at you. You notice who really supports you and who only tolerated your past self. You see hidden motives in subtle actions. You understand intentions before words are spoken. The world is holding up a mirror, and you're beginning to recognize yourself in it. This mirror is uncomfortable because it reveals both strength and unresolved edges. You may realize you've outgrown friendships, partnerships, or habits that were once central to your life. You may feel alienated from people who used to feel familiar. That's because your vibration has shifted, and mirrors always reflect authenticity. Mirrors are also tests. They show who aligns with your journey and who resists it. Some will be mirrors of inspiration, showing you what's possible. Others will reflect lessons that are difficult to accept, forcing you to choose growth over comfort. Pay attention. Every reflection matters. The mirror doesn't lie. If it hurts, it's revealing a truth you need, not a punishment you deserve. God uses reflections to sharpen discernment and refine character, ensuring you move forward prepared, not just hopeful. There are days when your prayers feel like carrying boulders. You lift your hands, open your heart, but the answers seem delayed. The heaviness in your spirit tells you something isn't moving yet. That's because prayer is not just communication, it's alignment, and some alignments require persistence. Heavy prayers are often the precursor to profound manifestation. God allows weight in the spiritual because He wants you fully invested, fully committed, fully ready to receive. If answers came instantly, your readiness would not match the impact. Faith grows in heaviness, patience matures in the weight. Do not let delayed answers make you doubt your value or question your destiny. Your prayers are heard even when the outcomes are unseen. Your persistence in asking, seeking, and knocking is proof of readiness. The weight you feel is preparation, not rejection. You may notice doors closing unexpectedly, relationships, opportunities, projects, even dreams you once held tight. At first, it feels like rejection or failure. But divine redirection often feels like loss because what is leaving was never meant to accompany your next level. Loss in this context is not punishment, it's recalibration. God sometimes removes what you love to make room for what you need. Holding onto the old prevents new alignment. Letting go is the only way to receive the upgrade. Pay attention to your feelings in these moments. Grief is natural, but despair is optional. When you mourn what leaves, do so with gratitude for the lessons it brought. Every closed door contains wisdom, every ending carries insight, and every release clears space for blessing. No matter how much you try to blend in, your light is beginning to shine with a force that cannot be dimmed. People notice it, even those who are not consciously aware of it. You attract attention because energy always radiates, and the divine energy within you is accelerating your visibility. Your light may make some uncomfortable, not because it threatens them, but because it exposes their own untapped potential. When your life begins to reflect your higher frequency, it becomes a mirror for everyone around you, creating tension, curiosity, or admiration. You cannot and should not hide this illumination. Dimmed light does not serve the world, and hiding your gifts only delays your purpose. Your calling is not about blending in. It is about blazing a path others can see and eventually follow. This light is also protective. It attracts the right people, resources, and opportunities while repelling what is not aligned. It is your spiritual signature, a beacon for the assignments only you can fulfill. Recognize it, honor it, and move forward without apology. The edge of your breakthrough is closer than you realize. Every pressure, delay, loss, and struggle you've endured has been a stepping stone toward this horizon. What once felt like endless waiting is now the threshold of fulfillment. Your past has prepared you. Your present has strengthened you. Your future is calling you. Look at how far you've come. The silent victories, the unseen endurance, the wisdom gained in solitude, these are the markers of readiness. Breakthrough rarely announces itself with subtlety. It often arrives as a tidal wave that changes everything in one moment of alignment. Do not fear the magnitude of what's approaching. God never equips someone for more than they can handle. The intensity you feel is proportionate to the impact you are about to carry. Your life is on the brink of exponential expansion. Stand alert, stay faithful, protect your peace. The horizon is near, and when the shift comes, you will recognize it immediately. Every prayer, every sacrifice, every lesson, all of it converges into one moment of divine manifestation. Right now, the people around you are revealing themselves with a clarity you may not have experienced before. Some are stepping up, aligned with your purpose, ready to support your rise. Others are slipping away, unable to match the frequency of your next level. This is the final filter, the spiritual sorting of your circle. This process is uncomfortable because attachment makes separation painful. You may feel sadness, even guilt, for those who cannot follow you forward. But divine order cannot be compromised for comfort. Every person who stays is meant to contribute. Every person who leaves clears space for what's coming. Notice patterns. Conversations that once felt effortless now feel forced. Collaborations that once worked now reveal cracks, and loyalty is being tested in subtle ways. Those who endure this season with you are not just companions, they are co-laborers of destiny. Value them, protect them, honor them. Your ability to discern who belongs in this final circle will determine how smooth or turbulent the upcoming season is. Choose carefully. Not everyone who smiles with you now will celebrate with you later. This is why the heart of a chosen one must be both tender and vigilant. You have prayed, acted, prepared, and stayed faithful, yet some outcomes seem delayed. Frustration whispers, "Why not now?" But divine timing is never late, it's perfect. Every moment you perceive as delay has a purpose you may not yet understand. God's schedule often contrasts with human expectation. The mechanics of destiny require precision. If things arrive too soon, your readiness and the resources available may not sustain it. What seems like waiting is often strategic positioning for maximum impact. During this season, every setback is secretly a setup, every closed door a hidden blessing, and every pause a chance to strengthen character. Patience here is not passive. It is active trust, belief, and preparation for what cannot be rushed. You are being trained to endure the unseen. The world sees timing as slow, but the spirit understands that alignment is invisible. What feels like impatience is actually maturation, shaping you to handle what is coming without fear or distraction. The closer you get to fulfillment, the louder the resistance becomes. Shadows you thought you left behind, fears, doubts, manipulations, hidden agendas, resurface to test your resolve. These moments are intense because they determine if you can sustain your next level without compromise. Do not fear these shadows. They are necessary checkpoints for the chosen. The enemy knows that breakthrough requires character, not just readiness. These tests are refining fires designed to reveal who you truly are when external pressures mount. Notice the subtlety. Distractions disguised as opportunities, friendships challenged, pressures amplified. The same battles may look familiar but are being replayed at a higher intensity. Only this time, you have the discernment, strength, and wisdom to overcome without losing your peace. Your reaction now matters more than ever. Stand in faith. Observe without succumbing. Let each shadow rise and fall without taking root in your spirit. This is how victories are secured before they are visibly celebrated. Everything you've endured, every trial, every separation, every sleepless night, and every moment of spiritual growth is converging into one powerful ascension moment. This is the point where preparation meets opportunity, where faith meets manifestation, and where the chosen step fully into their purpose. The ascension moment is not just about receiving, it's about transformation. The person you are at this point is not the same as the person who began the journey. You are now equipped, aligned, and refined to carry responsibility, influence, and divine assignment like never before. Do not doubt your readiness. Everything you have survived has been the foundation of this moment. The struggles were calibrations, the separations were shields, the delays were divine timing, and the pressure was power in disguise. This moment demands courage, clarity, and conviction. Step boldly, walk faithfully, speak wisely. And when you do, the world will recognize the authority, the light, and the destiny that have been long preparing for this unveiling. If your heart is ready for the ascension, declare it with unwavering confidence. I step into my destiny fully. I am aligned. I am unstoppable.